This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to Nerd Skool.
Yeah.
Suck it, nerd! Suck it, nerd! Suck it, nerd!
Visit me, daddy ass.
Welcome to Nerd Skool.
My name is Low-Key. Welcome to the Nerd Skool podcast. You Jack.
Andy, quick, name a movie that Hailee Steinfeld is in that Deborah Jo Rupp is also in.
True Grit.
Really?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh,
I was like her breakthrough was as the kid in True Grit opposite Jeff Bridges' mealy
really?
mouth.
That's what made her famous, sort of thing.
I think so. Well, she was probably on Disney or something.
Did any of you guys?
I didn't
hear
know her until Pitch Perfect. When the Pitch
Did
Perfect
you like True Grit, Andy?
Yeah, I remember liking that.
All right, so here's the thing, right? Now this
It's been
is
years.
just what I felt like. I don't know what it is, but I felt like somewhere along the line, Jeff Bridges, like he became something else, right?
Yeah,
It's
like
almost like-
his very marble mouth sort of.
And it's basically he plays that character in almost everything, and he had just like that. I'm gonna sit on the back porch and whittle something before I go kill some shit type person. Like everything I see him in now, it's like the same. He has that. I don't know. He's like Rooster Cogburn 3.0 or something. I don't know.
Well, that's what
yeah,
I mean.
it was a John Wayne remake, right?
It was a John Wayne remake, right? He's trying to be
Yeah.
John Wayne.
Not exactly. He wasn't doing a John Wayne impression. He was putting his own grizzled ass spin on it. But that was, if I remember right, it was John Wayne with an eye patch, and like the big bit was someone called him a one-eyed fat man on a horse, and then John Wayne got all pissed and went, "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch!" And then they drew, and that was the big line I remember.
I saw the original True Grit, but I don't think I saw this one.
You should watch that one.
She was really good in that. Hailee Steinfeld was really
So
good.
now I was just saying, we started this by saying I've been watching Bumblebee, and her acting is so good that it makes the movie.
Did you also know that she's a singer?
I didn't know she was a singer.
I just said my first welcoming to her were the Pitch Perfect movies.
Oh, and those are
Pitch
singers
Perfect
in that.
singing. I mean, you don't know the Pitch Perfect singers? They're an a cappella group. Come on.
I mean, I know what the movie's about, but I didn't
It's
think they're
quality.
Really singing.
You don't watch it 50 million times. No, it's the real people. The actors are all singing. So
Oh, they actually really sing? Like,
yeah,
because
that's
like
their
on. Okay, my
But
daughter's been
that's
watching
what I
Glee,
prefer.
and I don't think they're really singing on
As
Glee.
singles also out there in the world. She has songs here in these
And she's
streets.
also Emily Dickinson, which it's an amazing show.
So it's
I've
like
I've
the
only
world,
seen snippets of it, but it looks pretty good.
the pop culture
Oh, it's
world's
pretty-
moving
it's
too
awesome.
fast. I need
Wiz
to
Khalifa is amazing in that.
and I can catch up.
What
Pause
happened?
time. Can we
There's
just-
no such thing as catch up. I will never catch up on
You have to
everything.
consume-
You got to
do
be
what you-
okay with it.
So the Cohen brothers who did True Grit, also have directed a bunch of MCU stuff, right?
No, that's the
It's
Russo
Farrelly.
Brothers.
Oh, Russo brothers. I get the
Wrong
Russo brothers, the Farrelly brothers, and the Cohen brothers. But the Cohen brothers are the ones that do all the fun.
You just get them confused because they
Yeah,
said
that's,
brothers.
they have,
because they're
Yeah.
brothers. Yeah.
oh brother, where art thou? Right?
Yeah, right. All those, that's Cohen brothers. Like the one with Raising Arizona and all that. Right?
Yeah, they're not always funny movies, but they're always a bit weird and crazy.
Russo brothers are
Eccentric. They're eccentric.
Community and some other things. How come there's never where's my sisters? Where's the sisters that are making movies?
The Marvel just came out.
Underfunded. Do you want to get into the world of systematic financial inequality and giving women a chance in spaces that
I
are
just
ruled
knew-
by men?
I just knew
'Cause
you'd
I
feel
can-
this. Yeah.
We can
How about
have
the-
that conversation. There are sisters out there doing the damn thing. Will they ever get to where they need to be? All of them? Maybe not all of them, but they're out there.
We start with the Bryant sisters.
The director of the Marvels, Nia DaCosta, black woman.
The Marvel.
We're
the
slowly
new
coming.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so before we jump into Endgame here. I like some of the episodes when we talk about like current stuff that's happening, and we're recording this right around the time Marvel's is out and it's big thing. And I always bring up my algorithm headlines that I see, and kind of similar to, I feel like it goes right along with the whole hate for
I'm worried about your algorithm if those are the things that keep showing up on your For You page.
Well, not that it's hate, it's just like the headlines and stuff, but like along with the Brie Larson negativity, all I see is how, again, Marvel's representative of the fact that MCU, is Marvel done? Is Marvel too much? Everybody's tired of it. And why is Marvel such a dud? And I never click on any of the headlines, but that's what I'm getting on. So I guess what's the word on the street now about Marvels, and you guys all saw it and liked it, right?
Yeah, the deal is
I haven't gone yet.
It's fun. It's kind of breezy. It's
easy breezy, beautiful.
Ms. Marvel, Iman Vellani, I can't remember her name. By the way, Hailee Steinfeld won was nominated for Best Supporting Actress Oscar for True Grit.
I'm not surprised. She's a very good actress.
But it's a fun, breezy kind of movie with a lot of wild stuff and some interesting things.
I have a theory.
It's not blow you away great, but it's a lot of fun. But we had a huge long actor strike that kind of killed any promotion that they could have done for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
There was Iman Vellani, yes, who starred as Ms. Marvel in the Disney Plus series,
right?
And whose enthusiasm for being in this film is very infectious and makes you want to like it.
Oh,
did you also?
Okay, good. Okay.
Did you see that she wants to write an issue of Deadpool, Andy?
Oh, does she? I know she was actually writing Ms. Marvel comics.
That's right. She's the one who writes. Now. That's right. She writes comics.
Deadpool now.
Yeah, we talked about it on one last episode.
How cool is that? So that is making. So I'm excited to see these three in something together, because I've liked them all in the movies that we've seen, but I can't see it because it's gonna ruin my learning. So
here's my
no,
theory.
It's kind of standalone. It's sort of like a sequel to Captain Marvel. You don't really need much else to.
I'm not worried
aside
about
from watching the.
I'm not worried about knowing what's happening. I'm worried about it'll mess up. I won't remember what I saw in that versus what I saw.
Especially being though there are things now that he's already learned that he either doesn't remember or he forgets about,
Which is why I say go ahead and watch
TBJ.
You're gonna get half of it.
I was telling TBJ about this Saturday, how like it was something we was talking about. And you were like, "Where is this from? Why can't I remember? Like, did we see this? Did we talk about this already?" And I was like, "Joe's not retaining some of the stuff that he told."
Oh, there's so much. There's just so much. But I think that's the hard part, is like when we're going through the movie. Now I can't remember. I know this happened, but I don't remember. Did it happen in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Did it happen in the Marvels? And when did it? So that's why I stopped. I was halfway through Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Let me tell my theory real quick about this whole
the
Marvels not doing so well and if the MCU done thing.
Yeah, just because I keep seeing all this.
This is like like early on how we had like Thor the Dark World. So you have like these characters who haven't really been introduced that much, but you've seen it, and it's like Andy said, like they weren't able to promote it, so it's like you're not out there. But then also there's the whole thing, like it's MCU, right? And MCU, they spend big budget on these movies, but then people are going to see it, but then you're gonna like you have that person who's overly critical and they expect it to be bigger than it is just because it has MCU behind it, right? So like, it's gotten to a point where people haven't recognized that while this is an MCU movie or you get an MCU show, not everything has to be Avengers level for it to be successful. Sure, it may not seem in the box office because it didn't make this, or it's the lowest scoring, whatever. But if it's a good movie, it's a good movie.
Sure.
Like not every the movie house, all like Star Wars. If they make a Star Wars film, it's not always going to be, like $1 billion bringing, being brought in, because sometimes you have lower tiers, but people don't accept the lower tier when it comes to MCU. So if it doesn't do $100 million opening weekend, it's a dud.
Yeah,
because
that's kind of what I want. Yeah,
we have to take into consideration this post-pandemic world. You can't compare things to Endgame or Infinity War, because we in post-pandemic financially, a lot of people have not had discretionary spending. So people going to the movies it's not happening as much.
Right.
And to what Art says, a quality of a movie is not always based on how much it made in the movie theater. Because I can name about 10 quality movies that should win Best Actor, but don't net that much money because people aren't going or it's not in their interest. So quality and quantity of what's spent doesn't equate good movie.
That's a good.
And there's also the fact that with Phase 4, it was the start basically of Disney Plus MCU series, and so there's a whole lot of Marvel on television or streaming, as opposed to being in the theaters. So there's a whole lot more content that doesn't require going to the theaters, and then the stuff that's in the theaters will be grouped on Disney Plus eventually anyway. So there's points been made of like, we've kind of trained the audience to not bother as much with films because it's all going to be on streaming.
Yeah, that's why I don't go. I'd rather sit in my underwear and watch it.
Yeah, it's like I stopped going to concerts for the most part because I'd much rather just listen to the music on my own rather than go in with a bunch of sweaty strangers and
be all packed in with people. I mean, some rare experiences you still go. You want to go experience it, but
I'm also an old piece of shit.
That's true.
I've got.
You're definitely a piece of shit.
Yes. There's also the idea that
your brother.
Yeah. There's also the idea, like with Phase 4, like the whole Iron Man up to Endgame, like there was a slow build. Everything was a novelty. Like the first Avengers movie was like, I just saw this online today. I can't remember who posted, someone on Bluesky was like saying it's like seeing Indiana Jones team up with James Bond and stuff. Like that kind of thing hadn't been done before.
What's Bluesky?
And how are you on Bluesky?
Twitter alternative-ish.
Oh,
I can give you an invite, Art.
Yeah, I want to. I've been on the invite list for like 6-7 months.
It's not exactly Twitter because it's hard. You can't follow what's trending or anything, but you can follow a bunch of people in.
Is Bluesky better than Threads?
I don't know. I haven't been on Threads.
I don't know. Threads?
But it's Marvel, like there was a steady build, like from the first Avengers. Oh, there's Thanos' face. You knew what we were building towards,
and you couldn't wait to get to it, and you get a Thanos boner.
Yeah,
like, and even now, it's like they put so much out there, so many rumors, and this is happening. So now it's like what just happened. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say. But it's almost like, are we still with Kang? Is Kang still the big bad?
That's another thing I was getting to is with Jonathan Majors' off-screen troubles, plus the movies that deal with Kang. I mean, Loki, the 2 seasons have been pretty good, but which sort of introduced us to Kang in the first place. But Ant-Man Quantumania was. It didn't hit right.
I've even seen people saying on, then again, some of this, how do you know what's clickbait and what's a real article and what's well written and what's just bullshit? But I keep seeing all this. It's all probably just clickbait, yeah. But I see all this shit about like, Loki is Loki just too much for people and people don't get it, and is this the signal of the end of the MCU? But I think
everything is clickbait. Everyone wants the MCU to fail, or just to imply that the MCU will fail, just to get people to read it. It's all the headlines are always the most sensationalistic thing. There's a thing in the Hollywood Reporter today that was all about why Nia DaCosta bailed on a cast and crew screening, and of the Marvels, like, that's a big sign. But then, like in paragraph 4 or something, they mentioned, she wasn't invited. That's probably why she didn't go.
Yeah, I guess my only thing I will say is that, I mean, I haven't felt this way yet that anything has been like, none of these movies have been disappointing to me. They're always blow my mind at how good they are, how good the acting is compared to, like, we keep going back to this about, like, good Lord, these are good actors. Like, there's moments where you want to cry, but then explosions, it's like, it's so cool. And it's like, you guys know all the backstory in the comics, but I guess I will say, like, I can't imagine they can keep, like, once you've done so much, how can you keep up that pace?
Creativity doesn't die. That it's creativity, and as long as you have new people, fresh ideas, creativity. There's no, you don't run out of a well. Think about,
still have stuff to come. My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
Wait, you don't run out of what? What did you say, TJ?
Creativity doesn't run dry. It's not a well that you're going to overuse. So as long as you have creative people with fresh ideas and newness, think about the arts. We've been making movies for how long in the world? We've not run out of things to make movies about. Plays have been made. We've not run out of ways to make new plays.
Well, we keep
not run out of ways to make. No, we keep
making the same shit. Everybody keeps remaking crap.
But that's a money thing. If you go look at the contemporary new stuff, it's still good. People just aren't spending money on it, but the creativity is still there. Like, that will never die.
And that's storytelling, by the way. Remaking stuff, retelling old stories. That's how we have any stories. It's been handed down from campfire days.
All right, okay.
Everyone's sort of
point.
And you also got to realize the MCU, while it may seem like it's been around for a while, like, literally only thing we've been dealing with are Avengers type stuff.
That's true.
We still have, like, we've barely tackled space. We're just getting mutants. We haven't met the Fantastic Four yet. I seen some other clickbait rumor shit the other day where they were saying Anton Chigurh was being sought after maybe to play Galactus.
Do you mean Tupac Shakur?
Yeah, Tupac.
No, the Javier Bardem. But it's like,
at this point,
we haven't even gotten to, like, the X-Men universe of MCU yet.
There's a lot. And also, Kang is not, like, something I don't hear talked about as much is the multiverse, jumping into the multiverse as much as they have, kind of, especially with, sort of Loki being outside of time and all that. Like, there's lots of stories about that kind of thing in Marvel, but it also starts to make the main thing you've been following feel like, oh, this is just one timeline out of a million. It's sort of like it's kind of like in Doctor Strange 2, spoilers, Joe. I don't think you've seen this yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
But there's a bit where, like, they're time hopping or they're dimension hopping, and they go to one where, like, oh, there's one with Mr. Fantastic and all this stuff, and Peggy Carter is Captain Carter, who she has the super soldier serum and all that, and there's a whole bunch of
stuff from, like, What If shows up kind of thing.
And there's also, like, the Charles Xavier is there. Patrick Stewart has a guest shot in that.
Oh, really?
Well. Yeah, it's a big deal that they all show up here.
X-Men 97, and you've been watching that.
Yeah, and they sort of play the when he shows up, they do a hint of the 90s cartoon theme song in the score.
Really?
It's kind of neat. But then, like, Scarlet Witch just kind of hacks everybody to pieces. Just it's supposed to show how
very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, this is how powerful Scarlet Witch is, but it just feels like it's like all these cool concepts you just introduced are nothing. And that's been done in comics too, where they just introduce weird alternate versions of people just to show how strong their villain is or whatever. And so you get a sense of, like,
cameo, something.
Yeah, like, here's an alternate version of Captain America. You know how good Captain America is in our world. This is their world's version of that, but he just chopped through this.
And I was
just
like talking to you, I think, about this, Joe, the other day, how, Doctor Strange 2 did a lot of some fan service because they had John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's what confused me. That's what I was going to say when you said we haven't seen Fantastic Four. I thought we have now. I thought John Krasinski and
technically
Uma
we
Thurman
saw
are
him
now. or not Uma Thurman, but
I think
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, I think the main plan with the multiverse. No, Emily Blunt was not. He was just in it because there was a really good Photoshop of them as the Fantastic Four, and then nerds were like, "Yes, this should happen." And then they said, "You know what? Let's see how the nerds respond to this." And apparently, Doctor Strange didn't do so great, so I think they're recasting. And I don't think they necessarily plan to go with him in any way.
Can I go over Joe's head real quick? I like fucking with Joe's head sometimes, right? So, like just now, I was thinking about this. How we have Kang, then there's like Nathaniel Richards, right?
And he started the Wu-Tang Clan, right?
And we have Time Doors, but like
no, he created astronaut food.
How Reed Richards used a horizontal time door to appear in the Illuminati Council.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange 2 was kind of cool.
That's that's reminiscent of Doctor Doom's famous time machine in the comics.
But it was like in Doctor Strange 2, we also had, the whole beginning of the incursion storyline, and the stuff that they've been touching on that MCU is just barely grazing the surface with what's going on now. It's like they're setting themselves up to make movies for at least the next 10, 15 years.
And I think the general outline of plan, and this is just me spitballing, but it seems fairly apparent that the plan was, all right, let's go into the multiverse. Let's go into these alternate things. We have X-Men movies. We have, the Spider-Man alternate reality from the Sony verse, I guess. We've got even the old Fantastic Four movies, maybe. We have infinite alternate realities to play with. Including the Miles Morales universe. So they wanted to jump into that, explore that, introduce that as a concept, all these different sort of realities, and then probably the plan was in Avengers, the Kang War, the things that were introduced or announced as years in the making. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and then Avengers, Secret Wars, is that they're probably going to contract all these timelines into one and just merge a bunch of them together and create a whole new universe from the start that includes the X-Men, includes the Fantastic Four, includes Captain America, etc. And also would allow them to recast. Like say, here's a new universe. All that stuff happened. Boom, and now we've got a new Captain America, we got a new Iron Man, we've got a new whatever. Not Tom Cruise. He's an old.
No,
it would have to be a new.
Cruise.
Well, so far, every young new person they bring in that I've never heard of is awesome. This when Hailee Steinfeld or whatever her name is, Hailee Joe Osment Steinfeld, as Hawkeye, she's great. The one who played, who was the Russian, the one in Black Widow,
Yelena Belova, Florence Pugh.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. These are really good young, and then you look up and there are 900 things because they're great. Everybody that's in Wakanda, all these Wakandans are amazing actors that everyone already knows except for me because I don't see movies. The only thing I ever watch is
wrestling.
I don't leave the house. I haven't seen a movie in a theater. Here we're talking about why is anybody going to the theater? I haven't been to a theater in years. I don't know the last time I went to a movie in a theater. I saw one movie and it was Nope, and that was it in the past 15 years probably. So, and it was bad. So I was like, well, now I don't want to see a movie again. No. But why would I go when I can just wear my pajamas and watch what was new 3 months ago? Everybody's all excited 3 months ago, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see that. I waited 3 months. Now I'm watching it. So
the older you get, the less you're concerned with being at the forefront of what's new.
Yeah, I don't care.
But here's the thing, Joe. What happens when we inadvertently blow up, right? And now we're getting invited to movie premieres. I'm going to be like,
I'll wear my pajamas. Yeah,
that'll be your
shtick. Should do. We should all, Nerd Skool as a collective should do that. We all wear our pajamas.
No, if Tiffany's going to a movie premiere, Tiffany's getting glitzy because Tiffany's getting wifed up. So.
Oh, Tiffany would rock that red carpet. That's the thing.
Yeah. The red carpet and me are friends.
Yeah.
You guys can be in your pajamas.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in sequence somehow.
I love that the third person just swings right in when it's talking. If Tiffany's doing this, Tiffany's doing that.
Occasionally, the third
Yeah.
person has to appear.
Will Tiffany still take pictures with the three of us if we're in our pajamas?
Maybe people will
Otherwise-
get it. I just want you to know, people know.
Be
that
like,
you all,
be like, let's get this one in real quick.
because
this
I have to
podcast.
tell you, we got a DM. Andy, I think
Oh,
this
here
is
we
someone
go,
you
here we
know.
go.
But in the DM, he
Your friend
specifically
Brian
says,
and Andy.
you should get a medal with how you put up with those guys. So I just want to point
What
out,
did you respond with?
yes, I should get a medal. I'm waiting on the Peace Corps, the Nobel Peace Committee to bring me one. But to say that is saying, if you guys wore pajamas and I didn't, I think the world would be like, that tracks. Like, no one that listens to us would be surprised that I was not in pajamas.
But we
and
need
you guys
designer
wore.
pajamas. We need sparkly pajamas, like glitter.
Like, straight up Hellfire Gala type shit.
yeah,
right?
yeah, Hellfire Gala, but they're
I
still
want a
pajamas.
cape.
We should all wear capes. That should be a thing.
I mean, I would even wear a cape with a formal
Yeah,
dress.
you
Yeah,
gotta wear a
yeah,
cape. Yeah.
Capes need to come back.
So
I
that
want a
said,
cape with a really big collar. Like,
we're all
like where people
but
look at me and be
basically-
like, oh, he's very villainous.
Yeah. I think it's a whole lot of factors at play. There could be superhero fatigue, sure. Marvel Comics puts out shit tons of comics all the time. Not everybody reads everything, and not all of them are great sellers, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of interesting characters, and people are more excited when the characters are mixing.
yeah. Yeah.
Characters
I
doing their own
like-
solo thing.
So I like what they did with, like, I mean, I guess you could say it's superhero-y, but like Werewolf by Night, right?
Mhm.
MCU product, but then it was horror, and it was like, it wasn't like overtly superhuman, right?
Yeah.
This is a
I mean,
comic book.
Superhero-y,
No,
I
it's
could say.
it's the Werewolf by Night Disney Plus. They had a Halloween special last year. It was all
Oh.
black and white, and then they released a colorized version of it this year.
It's a-
But it's like
It's a
but then
cartoon?
also
What are we
there-
talking
No, it's a live action.
Sorry.
It's basically a werewolf story.
You
Okay.
didn't watch Werewolf
Sorry,
by
Art.
Night?
No, I don't know what it is. I've never heard of it.
It's a Marvel Snap card that just came out recently.
That's
You're
why
gonna
the
have
by
Marvel-
Night.
homework.
I know about the
Yes.
snap card. I want
There's
that.
But
also
you didn't know
Elsa
it was an
Bloodstone is
actual
in it.
show?
Oh, Bloodstone's in that. That's what
Elsa
Bloodstone's from?
Bloodstone, and
I
we
love
get
that card too in Marvel
we
Snap.
get the Man Thing in there too.
Oh, I love me some Marvel Snap. Oh yeah. Sorry.
But I feel like
Go ahead,
it's
Art.
one of those things where they can start getting even comic book movies in general. Like, I guess getting back to not being as superhero-y. So like how back in the day you used to have like the Human Target with that pretty dude, I forget his name.
Oh yeah.
like-
Mark Valley, I think his name is. I liked him on Boston Legal too.
But it's like, you have like these are movies made by comic book houses or comic book industry type things. But then it's not like, if no one knew it was a comic book movie, you wouldn't have known it. Like a lot of cool detective stories and suspense stories that, they could probably pull from to get us away from the superhero and tights fatigue. I
Well,
wanna call
speaking
it.
of suspense, when we last were with the Avengers, we were left in suspense because everybody was disappearing into clouds of dust. We're like, what's going to
Great
happen here?
segue.
Yeah. So then we start Endgame with another.
Can we
Disappearance.
welcome? I love we've gotten 30 minutes in. Let's welcome to the Nerd Skool podcast, friends.
Welcome
We're-
to
Well,
we're
another
on-
episode.
after
To
45
Endgame.
minutes.
It's fine. We never do it, but I.
Well,
do
you
want
know
to
what's
let it get
crazy?
Somewhere.
we kind of did what they did with this movie here, right? Because Endgame kind of started, and then like 20 minutes into it, they rolled the credits or something like that.
They had the
Yeah,
luxury of assuming everyone had seen Infinity War already. Everyone coming to
True.
Endgame had already seen Infinity War.
What if you was that
Being
one
as,
person
like, the
who
phenomenon
showed up
it
and had
was.
seen Infinity War? Like, what the hell's going on here?
If you just walked into Avengers Endgame thinking that there hadn't been any other previous movies,
That would be awesome.
You would have
I
no
want
idea
to be
what's
that
happening.
guy.
let's see if Carrington Windfall did that. because she hasn't seen any
Something to
Star Wars.
ask.
Maybe
Yes.
she
Star
hasn't
Wars.
seen.
That's what I think our first episode with her needs to be, just a like a let's find out what you know, what you would, and then we all come up with a consensus of how we're gonna do Star Wars. But that's not there. This is our first Endgame episode, and we have just a couple more episodes till we have episode 100 coming up. This one.
I would say that this is episode 98 then.
I think it is. It's this would be episode 98. So we'll try to get. Can we get through this in 2 episodes?
No,
3?
I can tell you now. We've already been
not.
talking for almost an hour, and we haven't started the movie. And I love y'all, but I'm not talking to y'all for 2 hours tonight.
Oh,
I gotta work 2 jobs tomorrow.
Can we jump in the movie though? Can we jump in?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you decide. Do we start the movie, or did we just live off of getting everyone ready for the movie before we started?
Let's do a quick recap. Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Thanos collects all the Infinity Stones. After much struggle and hardship of all of Earth's heroes trying to stop him from doing this. Being in outer space all over the place, but he does it. He collects them. Thor has a chance to stop him, and he doesn't go for the head. So Thanos does the snap, erases half of all life in the universe, all living things. And I think this includes, trees and dogs and stuff. And so everyone just sort of evaporates. And then in the 2 interstitial movies, we've seen Ant-Man is stuck in the quantum zone because Hank Pym, Janet Pym, and Hope Van Dyne all got blinked out of existence while he was in there, expecting them to bring him back after like 5 minutes.
Right.
So he's off in the quantum zone. Let's see.
Captain Marvel.
And then Captain Marvel, we learn that she exists, and Nick Fury has a previous relationship with her, and that he called her on an emergency beeper from the 90s that she left him with before he evaporated and almost said motherfucker.
Yeah.
And
and
then so Captain Marvel's aware of that, and then she has come to Earth and answered the call.
And like at the call. And like at the end, because she shows up and it's like, where's Fury? Right? At the end of that post-credit scene.
Yeah.
When they're all like trying to figure out what they're gonna do about it. And then this one opens up right away with Jeremy Renner's family, Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who was not in Infinity War at all.
Yeah, so they had to bring him in, and then they show that and this is kind of what it really gets.
But it's a creative way to bring it in.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see him in Infinity War. Mm-hmm. So we assume that he is just not plugged into what's happening. So opening it up with him while it's happening in real time to him was a really cool way to open the movie.
Yeah, it's like this is what's happening to everybody basically who has no idea what's going on, who I guess hasn't been watching the news with alien spaceships over New York again.
He's just living the farm life, and then I think the thing about this that's kind of interesting is just that here's a scenario where everyone except for him is blipped. Like he loses his whole family. A lot of people are just like one or the other. It's one. At least I got so and so, but not so and so. But it's like his wife and 3 kids, or was it 2 kids? I don't know. But it's like
he has 3.
He loses everybody, and just like, what am I in the? And he's like you said, he's not watching the news. He's not seeing what's going on. He's like, what's happening? And then we also get the fact that this has kind of driven him to be this crazy samurai murderer guy. This like contract killer. We get
it's not a contract. He's hunting.
He's hunting people,
crime bosses and stuff.
Crime bosses just to kill them.
I think it's the Yakuza in Japan. We see him after later when he's in his, which is an outfit, Ronin identity.
So that's what I wanted to ask you guys about this Ronin thing. I think we probably touched on this during Hawkeye when we kind of covered it, but is that's a storyline throughout comics? That's a thing Hawkeye does?
Not necessarily just Hawkeye. But there was a period of time where he was undercover as Ronin, and then other people have been undercover as Ronin as well.
So Ronin is sort of like a kind of like Black Panther.
It's an identity that it's not like a mantle that's passed to people. It's not like doesn't mean anything. It's just like I'm going to put on a mask and do some shit I shouldn't do.
Well, you know what a Ronin is, right?
Yeah, Ronin is a samurai, right?
As a samurai without a master.
Oh.
Or a master or a God damn it, why is this not emperor? Yeah, like without an emperor or a fuck. It'll come back to me.
So it's like a freelance samurai, but
no accountability to anyone.
Yeah, it's not necessarily freelance. It's not like you're necessarily hiring yourself out, but you're basically controlling your own destiny rather than in service of a higher lord, I guess, or something.
Yeah, because
so basically
Ronin,
it's like
wasn't Ronin a movie, Ronin 47 Ronin or something like that, or
yeah, that's what they have it listed as a samurai without a master. 40, there's 47 Ronin. There's Ronin with Robert De Niro.
And all I know about that is that he's like a criminal and a truck blows up. I've never saw that movie, so
okay. So, but this, yeah, kind of just we see Clint Barton and his family disappears, and that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that's basically your everyman perspective of this is what's happening all around the world and all around the universe.
And then they jump forward to after Infinity War, where Tony Stark.
I mean, this is still after Infinity War, but yeah, this is Tony Stark and Nebula are the only two people left on Titan.
Him and Nebula, and that's when at this part when he's with Nebula, and they're like, he's showing her how to play football or whatever the little social. I had to stop and be like, okay, how the hell did these two get together? I don't remember what. So I had to go back again to the end of Infinity War to rewatch because Captain Marvel kind of threw us off into this other thing.
Yeah.
But because there's so many and they roll into each other, but that was kind of a sweet moment with him and, you know, kind of helping her humanize her a little bit, learn her, you know, have her.
And like these two people they don't know each other. They've had no connection until this point. And now they're the last two people on Titan because all of Guardians of the Galaxy are gone, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange.
Well, it's like you won the game. Wasn't that fun? That was fun. Yeah, that was just so funny.
I would like to try again.
I would like to play again. Like,
yeah,
teaching Nebula how to play a game. Like,
yes, what fun!
Never had a game in her whole life. It's like she's been this tortured soul by Thanos her whole life, and I don't know. It's just a funny thing that they do in humanizing these like warriors and aliens and things, and so I don't know. That's funny and cool. But they're out of power and they're quickly running out of air, and all seems lost until they float past Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, who we know hates men, and just kidding,
as she should,
as she should, yeah. What we now know her from the movie we just finished, which is great, and she tows them back to Earth, and it's kind of like right as Tony's like about to take his last couple of breaths, right? He's about to die. He leaves that video for Pepper, and she brings him back to Earth, where she had been summoned by Nick Fury before he was killed in a snap. They arrive and are greeted by what remains of the Avengers: Steve Rogers, Rocket Raccoon, Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, James Rhodes, Thor. I think that's it. And
Pepper Potts is there too.
Oh, Pepper's there. Yeah.
I think you just said that Pepper in what's left of the Avengers.
Yeah, I said that for Pepper. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe I didn't say that. But they asked
like
Tony,
the original like Avengers are left.
Yeah, it's kind of all the original ones, right?
Yeah, except Hawkeye, who is off on his own right now.
He hasn't shown up yet. Yeah. They asked Tony if he has any info on Thanos, and he freaks out, blaming Captain America's going underground as the reason they lost. Tony essentially tells them they're on their own and goes off with Pepper.
And this is the first time Iron Man and Captain America, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, have been in the same room talking to each other since Civil War.
That's right, because they had their rifts and their enemies, sort of. Yeah, they're not.
Yes,
they were on different sides of what they should do with
they were not
all
on
the requirements and rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's like a big part of why Tony Stark is angry is because they were not together. Like he was trying to protect the Earth before to make this not happen, and it happened, and he's pissed off. It's still blaming Steve for fucking it all up, and so they weren't together. Like even though Steve said, "We'll do that together too. We'll lose together," and they were apart, and he's like, "I got no love or no respect or no liar." That whole bit, is, but he's also not entirely in his right mind.
Yeah, he is in distress.
He is traumatized, and you know,
He lost the boy. He lost the kid.
yeah,
He lost his little buddy. Yeah. And he was almost dead. He was dying, like actively dying. And
But you kind of see like his first response when he sees Steve is like, I lost the kid. Like there's still the friendship there.
yeah,
Like, and it takes him a while to get sitting down and get an IV in him before he remembers he's mad.
right.
And
Yeah.
then again,
We're the Avengers, right? Not the pre-Avengers. We're the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, like part of there's some comic book elements there in that like Tony Stark was sort of like this futurist kind of guy who was always trying to predict the future and guard against it sort of thing. Whereas Steve Rogers is like, people got to have freedom to do shit. And if they do it wrong, that's when we step in. So that's, I guess, a fundamental philosophy difference.
Yeah. I feel like we've kind of talked
Yeah.
that a lot with like was it Minority Report or whatever is the Tom Cruise.
With the precogs.
I also like Tony Stark's reaction.
Why is it the second time Tom Cruise has been brought up in this episode? Can we just not for the rest of this episode?
Art's got a poster of Tom Cruise on his ceiling, and he falls asleep.
I got a Tom Cruise boner.
I know he does.
Tom Cruise
but
boner.
we've said his name or a movie with him in it twice now.
I didn't say it though. So
I know. I didn't blame you.
It's
apparently there's some Tom Cruise essence amongst this podcast.
We need to get rid of it. We need to sage this joint of Tom Cruise.
It's the lingering thing where in the 90s, Tom Cruise was always kind of like the leading choice to play an Iron Man, if that were to be a thing. But I'm glad he didn't.
They all
Kevin
discussed.
Feige, call me.
No.
At this point, they all discuss that they got to try to kill Thanos. They got to get back.
I like Tony's response to finding out Rocket Raccoon is not a Build-A-Bear.
I thought you were Build-A-Bear.
Suddenly the
That
raccoon
was
talks,
funny.
and then Tony Stark's like, "Holy shit, what is that?"
Yeah, I thought you were Build-A-Bear. I thought you were Build-A-Bear. Why are you talking? But
And
Nebula.
then he goes, "Maybe I am." That's Rocket's response to that.
Yeah. Maybe I am. I thought that's funny that he quickly said that. Like, instead of like him not having an idea what a Build-A-Bear is, he's like,
Yeah.
F you, maybe I am. But Nebula turns out.
But think about it, Build-A-Bear. That's kind of like he was. He doesn't know what he is. Especially if you've seen Guardians 3, which is great. He learns about his origin. That's kind of like someone took him and built him. That was. I just realized that now. That means way more than I thought it was.
Oh yeah,
and I like that even more.
Yeah, because he was kind of like.
Yeah, he was built as like someone's toy.
Shout out to the writer.
Oh yeah, good shout out there.
Damn that Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a Easter chicken, because that's not really completely revealed until Guardians 3.
There you go. Well,
Boom.
Nebula has a general idea of where her father Thanos went. The heroes managed to find an energy signature showing that Thanos recently used the stones again. So they fly off to the planet where he resides to attack him. And Thanos is easily overwhelmed. And the heroes demand to know where he hid the Infinity Stones, intending to use them to undo the death Thanos caused.
Yeah, Thanos' retirement plan. He's in a garden. He's just living peacefully by himself.
Relaxing.
And you can see he's complete, like the Infinity Gauntlet arm is like frazzled and barely working.
Yeah.
And his whole side of his face is scarred.
And just living off the grid.
Establishing what happens when you use the Infinity Stones the way he did.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, you got to play God and kill half the people, then you get to just relax and have a relaxing retirement, So they he tells the Avengers that the energy signature they detected was his using the stones to destroy them. Thanos explains that he didn't want his hard and good work to be undone by short-sighted people like the Avengers, so the stones are now gone. Destroying the Infinity Stones nearly killed him. That's why he's in a weakened state. And after coming to terms with the fact that Thanos really destroyed the Infinity Stones, Thor beheads him, and the heroes
right after he has like an almost bonding moment with Nebula for the first time ever. Like Nebula has craved his approval for her
Thanos,
entire life.
Whole life.
Like Thanos' last thing was like, perhaps I've been too harsh on you. And that's like something Nebula has wanted her entire life. And then suddenly his head's off. And Nebula's like,
gone.
like blood splatters on her face. And she's like, and it's a good moment.
That's kind of a weird, that's a good point too. Yeah. And then he's headless, and then they go back to Earth, unable to change anything. And then the film jumps ahead 5 years. Do we think this is a good place to stop?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I like the bit. Just a couple other bits. I like Rocket turning around and saying, "Who here hasn't been to space?"
Yeah.
Steve Rogers,
yes.
Cap and Nat, and
don't puke on my ship.
Then Don Cheadle all have to raise their hands.
Yeah, I actually paused that and looked. Okay, who hasn't been? Which of these guys haven't been? Because I couldn't remember.
And that's great. A great way to remind everybody that space is. I mean, yeah, we've seen the Guardians movies enough that like we're familiar with what goes on in Marvel space. Not everybody is. Captain America has not been to fucking space.
He hasn't needed to, right? They haven't needed to. They've been down here fighting for America on Earth, so they haven't had to think about what the hell's happening in space. I also like in this same part, Andy, I do like that they're going outside their normal bounds, like they're not fighting, taking the battle to them outside of their wheelhouse. I appreciated that.
Yeah, let's go to space. Let's let Captain America be in space once. And there's like an even close up of like his eyeball as he's experiencing space for the first time, and that's kind of a neat moment as well. This is so full of neat little moments.
So many,
a lot of callbacks to the whole saga so far, but there's also just so many really like good character beats that you'll miss in a second. Yeah.
See, how can I do this? Let's just say it's an Easter chicken.
All right.
And let's just say, oh boy, we're dancing like we're the only two people in the room right now.
Okay.
When that one line was uttered, now that you know what you know, does it seem different to you?
I'm not entirely sure I'm following it.
About space. The line that you just said. Who hasn't been in space?
Who here hasn't been to space?
Knowing what you know now.
Oh, are you talking about the Secret Invasion thing?
Yes.
Where was it? I don't know. You're assuming something that I'm not sure was actually established in Secret Invasion.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, do you like where did you sit? Like, did you feel like
that's him? That's not a Skrull.
You don't think it's a Skrull?
I don't think it's a Skrull because Secret Invasion was not received well enough for that implication to be real, to be accepted, and to be dealt with. It's like in Marvel Comics, when someone introduces a plot point and everyone says that sucks, they just try to ignore it as much as possible going forward.
Okay. I do want to point out, since before we jump to the 5 years before, the other bit I do enjoy is before they go to space, when they don't just all agree to go. Remember, Captain Marvel is like, goodbye, I gotta go kill people. I gotta kill Thanos. And everybody's like, girl, we don't do that. We're like a team. And she's like, listen, I don't have time for this. We either do this or we don't. And I liked that pitch of everyone having to get on board with her, because her knowledge of what's happening around everywhere versus what's happening on Earth makes it a little more urgent for her than the rest of them.
And I just realized Art and I are tiptoeing around spoilering a show. I just spoiled the hell out of like what was it? What was I just talking about? Spoiling the heck out of, was it Doctor Strange 2?
You did.
But for some reason we're trying not to spoil Secret Invasion, which was not any good, really. I mean, it had some bits that were okay, but
it was just like, what the fuck?
Yes, I think you're limiting how much you make Joe's brain frazzle with information he doesn't need yet.
I do like what TBJ saying about Captain Marvel, because I like the line where she's like, let's go kill him. And why? What's different now? You have me. And it was like, That's right, because she is
That's
like,
kick-ass. Yeah.
yeah. It's like she's the toughest
She's
one.
the
It's
strongest
almost
Avenger.
it's
Yeah.
almost
strongest Avenger.
almost sort of like how when the Courier was like saying when Scarlet Witch came down, she's like, "Where has she been?" kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You had like the most powerful person up there guarding Vision.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like,
where the fuck she been all this time? Like, I was thinking that same thing. It's like, we need her.
But at the same time, she was where she should have been because the minute she
Which is
was
what-
on the field,
Yeah, I know. We talked about that.
yeah,
But I think also, like, I know we'll get to this, but just the moment in this whole big huge battle when all the women are just taking over and just destroying like all the ladies together it was like, oh my god, no.
I thought that was awesome. That's like a complete splash page from Marvel Comics. That's what it would
Yeah.
be. But that was like one of the first times outside of the Captain Marvel movie that I started hearing the like dude bros were pissed about
Yeah,
that.
fuck
Like,
those
oh, that's
guys.
pandering. Fuck you, the pandering. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Well,
This is
dude
like
bros
every
are
third
gonna
comic book
dude
has
bro.
pandering. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Dude bros are gonna dude bro, and if you give women too much because we can't be strong, to that I say to many dude bros, I dare you to fight me.
Yeah.
Outside of
Has
that,
did a special called Enter the Pandaverse, where they was making fun of Bob Iger and how like they took all of the South Park characters and replaced them with women of color. Highly inappropriate, but then also makes kind of sense the way that they were saying like how people get really upset when their fabled character or like a woman takes the place of or a person of color takes the place of something outside of the norm. And it's one of those, if you can find it, you should watch it. It's kind of it's inappropriate, but it's also it kind of makes sense for the world, the way that we live in now, how people can accept that certain characters and certain things doesn't necessarily have to be tied to race or gender.
but it's not even. I'm telling you, listen. This is how I relate to Carol Danvers. We are not the same, except we both served in the Air Force. But I think about every time I go to Harris Teeter. If you go to Harris Teeter, up front there are parking spaces for veterans, right?
Mhm.
Every time I park in that space, do you think someone questions me?
Oh, man.
Yes.
Not every time, but a lot of times. And I think about that when we get scenes like where it's all badass women doing something like battling shit. Badass women exist. Badass women do badass things. Yet the world we live in, we've grown up learning or being told you can't throw like a girl, don't fight like a girl. That is systematic, right? You were told that as little boys. Don't cry, that's girly. So everything you've equated to women and girls is not good. So when Marvel puts a badass scene like this, that's just so good. And we're jumping ahead, but y'all, you've seen the scene. But anytime there is a lead that is a woman that is badass, there's going to be pushback because for generations on generations on generation, men and boys have been told, don't do X, Y, and Z. That's girly. Don't cry. Don't show emotions. Girls can't hit. Girls can't fight. So as much as I can't stand dude bros at the movie theater, I also am like, I get it because we spent the whole life telling you that girls suck. Your parents told you that. The schools told you that. So unless you've gone to therapy, you haven't processed that stuff now. Is it an excuse for the hate that Brie Larson gets? No. They can suck a dick. But
whoa,
it is evident.
Yeah.
It is evident that men in this world have not been taught that there is strength in women that is valuable. And so when these movies come up, when the women take the lead or are the strongest, they have full-blown tantrums and then tell us that we're too emotional. But again, I dare you to go read their articles and their tweets.
I did hear some opinionation recently about like the dude bros that are like, vocally, anti-feminist, and like the kind of dude bros that like make
Is it
the
just Dude
online
Bros though?
well, not necessarily, but like
No, it's just
the stuff that makes the online conversation around Captain Marvel in general and too many female projects. So they're loud, but they're not necessarily as influential as one would think they might be.
no,
And
that
I guess a
causes them to
case in
get
point
louder.
would be that they can't make those same people. A lot of the same people have been falling all over themselves to get Zack Snyder back in DC comic stuff, and that hasn't worked. Either.
No, you ever heard of that?
So I
the
yeah I
squeaky
don't I
wheel.
mean yeah, like the loudest voice gets the most
Yeah.
attention, but it's not
But
necessarily
it would be
indicative of
great if
everyone's opinions.
we lived in a world where they just got therapy and made up with their moms.
Yeah.
Like around, get it together, because I don't want to hear it every time we come out with a new movie where there's a woman lead or a person of color lead. Like, just
Yeah.
A minute ago, Art mentioned Bob Iger. So just for people that don't know, can somebody explain who Bob Iger is and what he's tasked with?
he's over Disney.
He's like the new Disney CEO, and he's supposed to like.
He's not new. He was old, then he left, then he's back.
Okay, he's a returning guy. But aren't they? Isn't his whole thing like he's supposed to clean up Disney or something? Or
some things fell to the wayside when he left, so he's like, basically, bring me back. I'll get it together. They do have problems behind the scenes. He is not a perfect solution. Any old white guy in charge of anything is not a perfect solution. But he is banking on his past self and what he did for the company to kind of bring it back to its glory days, I guess.
do you think
Yeah, we'll see.
the Wu-Tang Clan would be a better choice to take over Disney?
They can take over the world. Wu-Tang for president.
Well, if Wu-Tang Clan did take over Disney, whether you know it or not, Joe, you're probably making fun, but Method Man is heavy in the comic book.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Heavy
I heard
in the comic book.
Yeah, doesn't he want to play Bishop?
I think I heard him say that, but most of Wu-Tang is in the comics, so
Oh yeah.
it would probably be a pretty good offering of.
But are they into
shows and
Disney
movies.
princesses? They probably have daughters.
Everybody, you don't have to have a daughter to be into Disney princesses, Joe.
Yeah,
That's
I was just telling
misogynistic.
TBJ
Yeah,
that
it is
Princess Tiana is
misogynistic,
coming
but-
to my game in February.
Who is?
Princess Tiana,
She's coming to your what?
Disney Dreamlight Valley. She's coming to the valley. I think it's in February.
I don't know what.
Is she going to be able to turn into a frog?
Maybe.
I've got a Princess Tiana in my freezer, or in my refrigerator.
What did you do to her? You should let her
Right?
go.
Joe, I need you to think about what you just said.
No. Oh, not alive. It's not alive.
Oh,
No,
what
that
did you
makes
do
it
to her?
worse, Joe.
She's an action figure.
Okay.
No, I
Why is she in your freezer? Is she a
I have a
popsicle?
thing now where if I find any of the kids' old crap out of place that they just threw somewhere, I just put it somewhere around the house and see how long it takes people to notice it. So Princess Tiana's been in the little thing where the butter is for like. I keep hearing people go, "Who put this in the refrigerator? What's
And
this
no one
doing in the
knows it.
refrigerator?" There's like a Hot Wheel car sitting on top of a mirror that I don't know if anybody's even noticed. Like it's on the wall, and there's like a random Star Wars characters in Amy's wreaths and things that she puts up. So there you go. That said, let's let TBJ go to bed, and we'll come back 5 years later.
5 years into the future.
Not quite 5 years for us. We're more like Ant-Man. It'll feel like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks, but it'll be 5 years into the future.
Yes.
And then we'll hit the ground
Avengers.
running next time. No idle talk unless some crazy news happens with the Disney universe.
I need you all to look in the mirror and tell yourselves that.
Yeah, Artstar, because our 100th episode has to be special.
So what is the next MC? It's like the what if season 2 is
I
that
think
that's
it's
coming in
Spider-Man.
December, right?
That's December,
Spider-Man's,
yeah.
right?
And they just released a trailer for like the
Bad or
Sony, the Sony verse which currently includes Venom, Morbius, and they're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie, and now they're doing Madam Web to introduce like a fleet of Spider Women. And
that's a Sony verse. That's not part of the MCU.
Yeah. That's I don't know if it's. I honestly don't even know. Did anyone see Morbius? Did you see Morbius, Art?
Morbius sucked ass. I was telling Josh Frank. Me and Josh Frank.
Josh Frank, friend of the show. Josh Frank.
Talking about Morbius the other day. And it's just like, because I was like, I fucking hate Jared Leto. Like, he when I look at Jared Leto, I feel the way that Joe felt when he looked at what's his name, son that played Russell's son, Wyatt. What's it, Wyatt Russell?
Oh yeah.
Like Jared Leto has like I told Josh, I was like, you know what? What's that band with 32nd to Mars? He needs to just go back to doing that. Like he has this, it's just something about him. Like I feel like how wrestling term, how like people sit there and say that LA Knight cosplays as Roman Reigns said he cosplayed as a hellbilly version of his cousin, The Rock. But I feel like Jared Leto was cosplaying as somebody, and I just can't put my finger on it. But like I did like his Joker, his Morbius. It's like everything I see Jared Leto in. It's like it's one of those things where you would love it, Joe, because it gives that.
Because you love things that suck.
It gives that Joe-verse vibe.
I think he's cosplaying Leto, as
but he's the same person in everything. His Morbius sucked ass. And then the fact that he had Matt Smith in it.
What's the guy's name?
I'm like, the doctor.
What a waste.
Like, say it again.
Now, was Morbius connected to Venom at all? I don't know if the Sony verse is actually connected. All the films are supposed to be connected or not.
It was supposed to be connected to. I want to say, like, you know, when it was promoing it, you would see like the posters with Spider-Man on it, right?
Okay.
So it's like this. It's one of those. It's literally one of those movies that you make, where it's like, okay, this is a Spider-Man villain. So this movie's going to be great because we're going to put Jared Leto in it because he played the Joker in the Suicide Squad. This is going to, the 32nd to Mars frontman is in this movie. This movie is going to be great. We're going to put the 11th Doctor in it. No, he wasn't the 11th Doctor, was he? Yeah, he was. Yeah, we're going to put the 11th Doctor in it. It's going to be amazing. But it sucked.
Is Jared Leto trying to be Russell Brand?
No.
He's dressed.
I don't think he's trying to be Russell Brand. I do think he can come off that way.
But like even just looking at his interviews,
Jared Leto, but I do appreciate my so-called life Jared Leto as Jordan Castellano that we all had a crush on in high school.
Did we all though?
We all did, yes. Even Joe and Andy had a crush in high school.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes your high school crushes grew up to be weirdos who play the shittiest version of the Joker and abuse people on the set with him.
Like I said, I loved him then. Now I don't I haven't backed him in a movie in a very long time. Yeah. But that Jared Leto was A+++.
He was in this movie with Denzel. It was almost as if Morbius was in a movie with Denzel. That's what it felt like. Morbius was in a movie with Denzel, but he didn't have any regenerative powers or anything. He was just a serial killer, creepy dude. But it was Morbius in a movie with Denzel freaking Washington. Jared Leto, go away.
No, boom. Okay, Artstar does not like Jared Leto. And with that, we're going to leave you, nerds, and come back to the next episode, which will be episode 99.
I'd rather listen to Liv Tyler talk than watch anything with Jared Leto in it.
That's nasty.
No, but that's correct. You should want to watch a Liv Tyler thing more than a Jared Leto thing.
But it's nasty for Art because he hates Liv Tyler.
Yeah, we know Art.
Liv Tyler's coming back. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with having to be.
I'm sure she's so glad for your approval now.
As you should, because I am. Who am I? Who am I? Say my name.
Say my name.
Thank you for
On
listening
that
to the
Joe
Nerd
hit
Skool
good night.
podcast.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Excelsior.
Say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems, Mr. Officer. Now they POTUS look like me, you gon' think again when seeing brothers rolling down the street. Every Martin Luther King on his American dream. Still a Rodney being beaten, screaming fuck the police. Me, I'm running through the passage, trying to get away from master, but the dogs is on my ass, I gotta move a little faster. Can't pass for Caucasian, but I got a couple papers from the plantation saying I graduated. Congratulations, cool beans, but to most school mean trying to dodge STDs, living off government cheese. Trust the government, please. Not even if it was me sitting in the Oval Office as commander-in-chief, trying to give us free, but there's a nigga in my ear saying, you got it, Superman, you ought to kick it here. Get this distinctly clear, I'm all about jetting. Raps Kunta Kinte without the half-stepping. A new chapter, back with new lessons. After that, the final exam. Any questions?
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.
Excelsior.